Welcome everyone to our weekly Forex market analysis, and this is for trading for the week of December 4th to the 8th, 2017. And just a quick disclaimer before we get started, this is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. And if you have questions about your individual investment needs, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. All right, so as usual, we will start off by taking a look at our economic calendar here. And let's see what this week has for us. Okay, starting off. Okay, so we have on Monday, we have construction PMI numbers for British pound. That will have an impact there. For factory orders for the US, that will usually impact the market. Important thing here, though, is Reserve Bank of New Zealand. We have Governor Spencer speaking, and then Australia, we have current account, which is the trade balance, and retail sales numbers. So those will be important, and very, very important here. We have cash rate and RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia rate statement. Their interest rate is not expected to go up at this one here. However, what the market will be looking for is the direction from Reserve Bank of Australia. The commentary, how they word things will be important because market's looking to see if they're going to start raising rates as well or not. So far, Reserve Bank of Australia has been a little bit cautious. Their forecast for 2018, they actually lowered it. It's still positive, but they had lowered it. And last time they had said that they're not going to do an interest rate hike at least in the next few months. So we'll see if that commentary changes. If they are more hawkish on the economy, so they're more positive, which means if they are looking for increased growth or they think the economy will be strong next year, then market will start thinking about interest rate hikes, that they may do interest rate hikes. That will be positive for Australian dollar. However, if they express concerns around the economic conditions, the forecast, and that type of stuff, so that will be then negative for Australia. So that's what we're looking for. Cash rate is not expected to change, so there isn't really the impact from that, just from the statement itself. Okay, on Tuesday, we have PMI numbers out of the Eurozone and then services PMI number for the British pound. PMI number, again, it's a leading indicator. That's why it is an important one to look at. And we have trade balance for Canadian dollar here and non-manufacturing PMI for the US. So again, these numbers are important, so we'll pay attention to those. GDP number will be important for Australia here as well. And coming up Wednesday, we have ADP non-farm change. So every first weekend or every first Friday of the month, we usually get non-farm payroll numbers, and ADP numbers is usually the one that comes before the actual non-farm numbers. And if this number is positive, it just sort of paints a positive picture for the upcoming number on Friday. That's why this number usually will have an impact. And then we have another central bank here, Bank of Canada. Bank of Canada is not expected to raise their rates. Again, what the market will be watching for will be their commentary, whether they are positive on the economy or not. So Bank of Canada has done a couple of interest rate hikes. They raised twice they raised interest rates, and as a result of that, Canadian dollar has gone up. But previously, last time, Bank of Canada essentially said that they're concerned about having a negative impact on the economy because of all these interest rate hikes. So they said they're going to stop with the rate hikes for now, and they're going to gauge what impact this has on the market. So that's why we're not looking for an interest rate hike here. But again, the language that they use, commentary, will be important there. So same thing applies to here. Same thing that we talked about Australia will apply to here, Canadian dollar here as well. And then we have trade balance numbers for Australia. So we're kind of coming into the year end here. So all these numbers will be important because they wrap up the year. Now, Thursday, most important thing here, employment numbers for US. So these are not, generally won't have that much of an impact because we have non-farm number coming up. ECB, President Draghi speaking, will have an impact. So just expect volatility for the euro while that's going on. And then Friday, big day here for the US, but prior to that, manufacturing production number for the British pound. And then we have non-farm number. This is usually a market moving number, so this will be critical. So if it's positive, so right now we are expecting a decline. So if the number comes lower than this 200K, this will have a negative impact on the US dollar. If it comes better than expected here, then it will be positive for the US. So that's for our news. Let's move on to our charts now. We'll start off with our euro dollar here. Euro, we were looking for a bullish move last time. And all we have so far is we got a pullback into this previous support and resistance area, but it closed up higher. So it pulled back and then it didn't actually stay there. So right now it's still bullish because price is making higher lows, and it has made a higher high, slightly higher high, but regardless, it's still in this uptrend. So going forward, I am looking for price to move up higher. So again, the first target would be 1.200, and if it breaks above that, then we are looking for 1.2100. So those will be the next two targets to the upside. The bias still stays up. Pound here. Pound, we were looking for a move to the upside, and that's what we got here from last week. And right now it looks bullish. So now we are back into these highs that we haven't seen since September. So this certainly looks bullish. So next move, I'm looking for 1.3600 and then 1.3680. So we'll be back into the highs here. And that's where we'll have to watch out to see what price will do at that point, because we haven't been here in quite some time, since Brexit essentially. So now we are going to retest those highs. Last time price came here, it dropped, but overall the trend has been upwards, and even the immediate trend over the last few weeks have been to the upside. So continuing on with that trend, it is getting, as you can see, the candles are starting to get bigger, so the momentum has picked up to the upside for British pound. So excuse me, in this case, I'm looking for continued move to the upside. 1.3600 and then 1.3680 will be the next targets to the upside. Aussie dollar here. Aussie dollar hasn't done much. So we are in this sideways move here for the last, so overall the trend is to the downside, but here we are in a sideways move. So price hasn't broken the lows for the last 3 weeks. And generally when this starts to happen, we could see a move to the upside. So in this case, I am going to put my target higher here. But again, we are in this range, so we need to see a break out of this range. So a couple of scenarios to look out for this one would be, first, how price reacts at this 76.50 level. If the price stays below and is not able to break higher, then we could get one of these moves back into the bottom of the range. So first case scenario would be this type of move where the price stays within the range. But once the price breaks out to the upside here, then I'm looking for a pullback and a next move higher, which will be 77.38 or even 77.50 level to the upside. So right now it's a bit of a tight range, so we do need to see how price wants to break out of this range. So I'm looking for a break, but we could see the price go all the way over here, 77.40 level, and then it may come down from there. So overall, this is a larger range here of this whole thing. So for now, it looks like it wants to move higher, but again, I want to see if it breaks above 76.50, and then 77.50 will be the target to the upside for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, we did see price. Let me just get rid of some of this. So here we are in this one, we are in this sideways type of move. For the last few weeks, price hasn't really gone anywhere. It's just traded sideways. So it wasn't able to break lower. Now it's starting to move higher. So in this case, I'm looking for price to go up and test the top of the range, which is 0.700 level. So I'm looking for price to go up higher here. So this is looking bullish for a New Zealand dollar, but overall the move is to the downside. So I am looking for something like this. So once price comes into the 0.700 level, we could see a reaction at that level. So it is range bound. So looking for price to go up into the top of the range. Dollar CAD, we had positive numbers come out for Canadian dollar. As a result, we have bounced off of this support and resistance level. Price wasn't able to, we talked about this last time, price wasn't able to break above this level, and now we have a really nice pin bar to the downside. So dollar CAD, directionally, I'm looking for a continued move to the downside. Now, what we do need So now what we do need to see is a bit of a pullback and then a drop. So in this case, my projection will be to the downside, but we could see price come into this level here and then drop further. So the target, the overall target would be 24.50 to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for, price to pull back and then drop. So bearish on dollar CAD. Euro Swiss franc here, we have had, we talked about this level because price hasn't been able to break above this. So again, let me get rid of a couple of this levels so we can see clearly. Here we go. So we were into this upwards trend and price came and tested the high of this little area that we were trading in, this little range that we were trading in. We have a bearish candle close here for Euro Swiss. So as a result of that, I'm looking for a move to the downside now. So in this case, just looking for price to come into the bottom of this range here at 1.1530-ish level, back into this level, and that will be the deciding point again if the price is able to whether the price is able to break below this 1.1530 level or not. If it's not, then we could see price bounce back towards the middle of the range again. So right now the bias is bearish, looking for price to go down into this 1.1530-ish level. Okay, pound Swiss franc, we have had a rejection here as well. So in this case, similar to the other one, we have seen price reject at the high once again. So now we do see rejection here, but price hasn't really moved out of this range. So in this case, again, I will be looking for a bit of a push up and then price to drop into this 1.2950 level. So my bias for this one is to the downside as well, based on this rejection. So I'm looking for price to move into the bottom of this this little range that we have for the last several weeks here. So 1.2950 will be the target to the downside for pound Swiss. Dollar Swiss franc here, we are continuing the move to the downside, and as a result here, looking for a further move lower. So in this case, looking for price to drop into this 0.9580 level. So looking for a drop into further drop here. So we have a pin bar and several, as we can see, several bearish candles. So the momentum is clearly to the downside, looking for a continuation of that move into 0.9580 level. Okay, so let's do pound yen. Look at the yen crosses. We've got lots of lines here. Let's get rid of them. So in this, we have been trading in this range here for several weeks. Right now, we are into the top of the range. We are sitting there. So the first thing would be to see if the price will break the range. It hasn't for several weeks. So we are looking at multiple weeks here since September. It has not been able to break this high here. So the first thing is, can it break the high? So I'm going to treat this as a range-bound market. So what I'm looking for is price to test the high and then drop from there. And I'm looking for price to drop further and come towards the bottom of the range. So the bias, my bias for this one would be to the downside for now, because I'm looking for price to come back into the middle of the range and then drop to the bottom of the range. Once price comes to the bottom of the range, I'm looking for price to push up higher from there. So this is the bottom of the range at 147.20 level. So looking for price to move back into the range here. If it goes into the high of 152.80, I'm looking for sellers to step in and actually push the price back into the middle of the range. If for some reason it breaks up higher, then we could see the price go higher into 157.50 level. So that would be our next target to the upside. But very, very important thing to pay attention to would be, can it break the high? Because it is range bound for now, and range bound trading would suggest this was going to come lower. So my bias would be back towards the bottom of the range for pound yen. Euro yen here, let's take a look. This one has been range bound here as well. As we can see, this is where price has stayed for the last several weeks. Again, since, let's see, what are we at here? September. So since September, price has just traded in this range. Looks like price rejected the high here. So I'm looking for price to go back towards the bottom of the range. So the bias here is range bound, and I'm looking for price to drop here into the bottom of the range at 131.20. So looking for price to kind of come back lower. And once it comes into 131.20, we may see the price go up higher from that. Okay, so euro yen. So let's go take a look at dollar yen, and then we'll take a look at gold after that. Okay, so what do we have here? This is dollar yen. So dollar yen has pushed up. Just clean it up a bit. Okay, so for the last 2 weeks, price hasn't done much. It's moved lower and then pushed back up. So now we are in this range. So we need to see a breakout to the either side, either to the upside or to the bottom. For now, I'm going to treat this as a range bound move as well. So all the yen crosses are kind of going sideways right now. No clear direction in terms of where they want to go. So for this one, treating this as a range bound move, once price comes into 112.80, I'm looking for price to bounce down from there. So this is the high, 112.80, looking for price to drop from there. And the test will be, so the target will be 110.90 here, or let's say 111. So once price gets into 111.00, that will be the test. Can it break lower? If it does, and if we see other yen crosses start going lower, then I'm going to look for a move towards 109.50. But until such time, until we see a clear break here, I'm going to treat this as a range bound between 112.80. So if price gets into 112.80, I'm looking for a potential sell. And if it comes into 111, I am looking for potential buy unless price breaks to the downside. And then I'm looking for 109.50. So range bound there. So let's take a look at gold. Here's our gold. Gold hasn't done much, range bound here as well for the last several weeks. It pushed into the top of the range, now is dropped from there. So looking for price to move lower again into this 1264.20 level. So back into the lows here. So my bias would be to the downside towards the bottom of the range. Aussie yen. Let's take a quick peek. Where is Aussie yen? Here we go. So Aussie yen was sitting here for some time. So the weekly close here. So last week it was a very, very small move. And if you go take a look at the daily, see how price just wasn't able to break lower here, and now it's pushed up higher into this previous support and resistance area. So 85.80 is an important support and resistance area. So we need to see if it's able to break higher. So right now it is a small bullish move for Aussie yen. Another thing we need to keep in mind with Aussie yen will be the moves in Australian dollar as well. So if the commodity currencies, like we see them, or we saw them last week, we saw Canadian dollar strengthened, which made dollar CAD drop, and we saw Aussie and New Zealand dollar. The commodity currencies tend to move in the same direction. So we saw Aussie and New Zealand dollar move up as well. So if that strength in the commodity currencies continues, then we can expect New Zealand and Australian dollar to go along with that or react in the same direction. So Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar could go up as dollar CAD drops, because Canadian dollar will strengthen. So that's the sort of relationship I would keep in mind as well while I'm sort of trading this. In this case, price, we have a high of 85.80, so that will be the first thing to keep in mind. So in this case, I'd be looking for a potential move like this, because this is an important support and resistance at 85.80. But if it does break, and let's say the commodity currencies are higher, if it breaks, then I'm looking for price to go into the next support and resistance area at 86.80 level. So those are my scenarios. The first scenario is a test of 85.80 and a rejection there, because that is an important support and resistance right into here at 85.80. But if it breaks above 85.80, then I'm looking for 86.80 as the next level for it to go to. All right, so I think that is it. That brings us to the end of the presentation here. I just wanted to make a quick announcement. For the month of December, I am offering 20% off on all the courses. So if you guys are interested in checking it out, so the couple of courses that I do have are, one is on Learn to Trade Forex course, which is my video course. So you can take a look at, check that out. You can go to tradingwithvenus.com/courses. I also have a course on how to trade the fundamentals, how to understand the fundamentals more. So if you're interested in checking that out, I found that when I only looked at technicals, things became a little bit difficult because I didn't know what was going on and why the price was reacting to all these different news and which news were important and how they impacted the market. So if you're interested in learning more about the fundamentals, then there is a Demystifying Fundamentals course that I have. So that one is 20% off here as well. So all the courses are 20% off. If you're interested, please go check out tradingwithvenus.com/courses. And the promotion is only for this month. And next year, I'm going to change up the courses and likely prices will go up a little bit. But that's all I have. Any questions or anything to add before we wrap it up? All right, if nothing else, then that's it for me. You guys have a wonderful trading week. If you have any questions about the courses, please feel free to send me an email or reach out to me. About Bitcoin, oh boy, Bitcoin is just going in one direction. So I do not like to go against Bitcoin. It has been just a single directional move here. Let's go check out where it is at the moment. Yeah, this is crazy. It has gone up all the way into 11,736. So looking very bullish here, staying above this this EMA. So it is quite bullish. So I would not be wanting to go against it. It looks like a lot of people, big things with Bitcoin is a lot of people are interested in it right now because I think there was a statistic that I read last weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. Um, Coinbase had over 100,000 people who opened Coinbase accounts. So Bitcoin is definitely, there's that market sentiment behind Bitcoin, which is sort of pushing it up at this moment. So I'm not willing to bet against it. So it's more a case of buying the dips than really selling the highs. So right now we are there. So as we take a look at the volume here, the volume is decreasing. So we could see a drop in it. So don't quote me on that. We could see a drop back into this 11,543 type of level, but overall it is quite bullish. And if we have a big drop, then 11,182 or some of those levels kind of back into this level would be right about here, would be a potential buy, or into this 11,059 level could be a potential buy. But looking quite bullish at the moment. Yes, a lot of millionaires off of Bitcoin. All right, you guys, we'll call it a wrap for now. You guys have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you next time then. Bye for now.